Alright, now that I covered the General Darkness movie, it's time to talk about the Great Mazinger crossover movies, as there actually were a good handful of them, like Great Mazinger vs. Get A Robo, Great Mazinger vs. Get A Robo G, UFO Grand Iser vs. Great Mazinger, and finally Grand Iser, Get A Robo G, and Great Mazinger Battle the Giant Sea Beast. Now I'm reviewing all these together because, well, they're all really short movies that are pretty much the same thing, with all of them just boiling down to Great Mazinger teaming up with another super robot to take down some monster and save the day. First off, we have the vs. Get A Robo movie, and not a lot happens here. It's basically Great Mazinger and Get A Robo teaming up to fight a monster, which is fun to see for sure, but nothing too memorable here, and kinda disappointing in certain areas. Now, in the General Darkness movie, Great Mazinger was shown to be such a fucking badass. But here, it gets wrecked constantly, until Get A Robo comes in to save its ass, and not only that, even the pilot of Great Mazinger, Tetsuya, gets slapped around like a bitch. It just feels like a massive downgrade when compared to its first appearance. Though the monster Getter in Great Fight is pretty cool, with a neat transformation that has some sort of dick monster that is able to shoot some sort of melting liquid. You know what? Maybe it's not so neat after all. But you want to know what's truly neat? Ryoma in the Toei series was voiced by Akira Kamiya. That's right, the same Akira Kamiya that has voiced Kenshiro, Kaneko-man, and Ryo Saiba. You just gotta love this guy. And wait, hold on. This is supposed to be a versus movie, but Great Mazinger and Get A Robo don't even fucking fight once! Damn it, Toei, get your titles right! Moving on, we have Great Mazinger vs. Get A Robo G, which has a pretty awesome intro. Now for those who don't know, Get A Robo G is basically similar to Great Mazinger and being an upgraded version of the previous model. Though like Mazinger Z, I just prefer the original Getter more design-wise. Never liked G's face to be honest. Now this crossover is another pretty average movie, with Great and G just teaming up to take down another monstrous threat, with Great Mazinger once again getting taken down pretty easily. Seriously, starting to wonder what's so great about it. Though one thing this movie does do well is pay tribute to a character who died in Get A Robo. And really that's all I could say for this movie, unfortunately. Now the first two crossover movies were pretty lackluster. Luckily the next two are a lot more action-packed and fun, with the next crossover being UFO Grand Iser vs. Great Mazinger. Now, I don't know much about Grand Iser myself, outside of it being the third part of the Mazinger trilogy. Though I should really get around to it soon, especially since where I live, I'd say Grand Iser is probably one of the most popular anime series. Seriously, I've seen this robot in fancy art exhibits. The love for it here is strong. But really you don't have to know that much about Grand Iser to enjoy this movie. Basically, this alien guy wants to defeat Grand Iser and figures out the best way to go about it is stealing Great Mazinger and using it for himself. So yes, this is a versus movie that finally uses the fucking versus in the title. It's about damn time, Toei. And really, that's the main appeal of this movie right here, seeing these two iconic super robots fighting it out. However, another good thing to be found in this movie is after his absence in Great Mazinger, Koji, the pilot of the original Mazinger Z, actually makes a comeback in Grand Iser. And while he's sadly not piloting a badass mech of his own, in this movie at least he does get a decent amount of action. While nothing too spectacular, this is a really fun watch, especially for that robot-on-robot action. And finally, we have the last movie, Grand Iser, Get A Robo G, and Great Mazinger battle against the giant sea beast. This time around, a prehistoric threat in the sea known as the Dragon Soros awakens from its deep slumber, and the government decides the best way to handle the situation is to gather all the super robots and have them take out the sea beast. Now, seeing all these legendary super robots team up and kick ass is awesome. This is basically the Avengers of super robot anime. Like, think about it, there's this threat that requires a team of Earth's greatest defenders who at first don't get along but eventually form bonds to take down the big bad. I'm surprised that after this movie, Toei never decided to do a proper super robot team-up series for themselves. Seriously, imagine how badass that would have been, and it probably would have left a pretty big mark in anime history, as around this time, crossovers were still a new concept, and really in anime, it's still something not many series take part in, sadly. Another aspect of this movie I really enjoyed was the Dragon Soros itself. I mean, I'm not too crazy about its design, but I really liked its kaiju vibe, with it awakening from the sea due to mankind's pollution of the ocean, which is a pretty weird reason for a prehistoric beast to reawaken when you think about it, but it does remind me of Hedorah from that one Godzilla movie, so that's cool. Overall, this movie is a fun watch, mainly due to it being Super Robot Avengers, filled with tons of mecha mayhem, kaiju action, and oh yeah, how can I forget, boob missiles. Long live the 70s, baby! And there you have it, those are all the great Mazinger crossover movies. I mean, sure, they're not really that memorable besides the fact that they're crossovers, but if you're a fan of any of these super robots, then these movies should be a really good time for you.